Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on Shri FM. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Former President John Mahama cleared of any wrongdoing. Office of Special Prosecutor concludes its investigations into Urban scandal as it finds that NDC flag bearer John Mahama did not participate in the alleged payment and receipt of bribes. We have details for you. Also coming up, Speaker of Parliament says there is currently no venue available for its sitting scheduled for September 3 as the chamber undergoes renovation. Much later, Kolebu Teaching Renal Dialysis Unit shut down once again. We are live there to bring you what's really happening. Thank you very much for joining us today. Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has this afternoon concluded that there is no evidence backing claims that a top government official assisted aircraft company Airbus to bribe various officials. NDC flag bearer John Mahama has been named as the individual described as government official 1 in the Airbus scandal. His brother Samuel Adam Mahama has also been named as the intermediary alleged to have facilitated the payment of the bribes to various officials. The Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabing, however, in a press conference said that it is concluding its probe because it is not actionable.
The OSP confirms the identity of the following individuals. Government official 1, individual 1. The individual described as government official 1 by the UK court and individual 1 by the US court is John Dramani Mahama. He is a citizen of Ghana. He was the Vice President of Ghana from 7 January 2009 to 24 July 2012. He was the President of Ghana from 24 July 2012 to 7 January 2017. His tenure of office as the Vice President of Ghana coincided with the time frame of the UK and US investigation of the first Airbus campaign for the sale of 2 C-295 aircraft to Ghana. His term of office as the President of Ghana occurred during the UK and US investigation time frame of the second Airbus campaign for the sale of 1 C-29 aircraft to Ghana. Intermediary 5, Consultant 4. The individual described as Intermediary 5 by the UK court and Consultant 4 by the US court is known both as Samuel Adam Mahama and Samuel Adam Foster. He is a UK citizen and also a citizen of Ghana. He is a younger brother of the full blood of John Dramani Mahama, former president of Ghana, referred to above. His birth name is actually Samuel Adam Mahama, but he was adopted from Ghana and taken to the UK in 1972 by a British missionary couple. He assumed the last name of his adopted parents, Foster, at age 9. He lost touch with his Ghanaian family until 1997. Intermediary 6, Consultant 5. The individual described as Intermediary 6 by the UK court and Consultant 5 by the US court is Philip Sean Middlemas. He is a UK citizen. He is an English television and radio actor and businessman. He is a close friend of Samuel Adam Foster, otherwise known as Samuel Adam Mahama. Intermediary 7. The individual described as Intermediary 7 by the UK court is Leanne Sarah Davis. She is a UK citizen. She is a partner to Philip Sean Middlemas, referred to above. On 30 April 2020, the OSP requested the assistance of Interpol for the issuance of a red notice for the apprehension of Samuel Adam Foster, also known as Samuel Adam Mahama, Philip Sean Middlemas, Leanne Sarah Davis, and Sarah Ferno, the spouse of Samuel Adam Foster. The red notice was published by Interpol on 10 July 2020. On 13 May 2020, the OSP sought and obtained warrants from the Circuit Court Accra for the arrest of Samuel Adam Foster, Philip Sean Middlemas, Leanne Sarah Davis, and Sarah Fenu.
And you heard the special prosecutor, Kisia Jabin. We're joined for a brief conversation by Adam Senano, co-chair Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Are you surprised by the revelations from the OSP?
Oh, I don't know about surprise, but I am relieved that they have come to the conclusion of the matter and that they found no culpability with regard to the former president and his relative. So I think that allows us to have some clear conscience moving ahead in terms of the electoral season.
You say that you're relieved and you wouldn't go to the bit about surprise here, but what do you make of the body of work by the OSP and at the end of the day, the conclusions that have been drawn, aside from being relieved and saying you're going to have clear vision going into 2024?
I thought it was quite thorough. I mean, one of the things that for me was very substantive was when they were able to indicate that Samuel Adam Foster or Mahama had existing contracts covering other African nations pre-existing to this particular engagement with the government of Ghana. And so it was not the case that there was some favoritism or some uniqueness in the Airbus people actually working with his company to attempt making sales to Ghana. I think that kind of context begins to make you understand this was not exclusive, and therefore the kind of conclusion being drawn should not be surprising. For me, that kind of thoroughness and feedback, also the fact that the UK government itself did not proceed with any form of prosecution, clearly therefore the raw data, raw information available to them did not suggest that they had evidence that could, as it were, procure a ruling against such individuals. I think all those facts are very relevant in drawing the conclusion that there's no finding of having been involved in corruption or corruption-related offenses. And that makes us much more confident about the report.
Much more confident about it. And I'm going back to an earlier comment you made, a clear mind going into 2024. What do you foresee as the implication of this very conclusion by the OSP? Because the MPP has been using that as, trying to equalize the corruption argument when we talk about it.
It certainly goes to the credit of the former president, President John Mahama. One cannot take it from him. And when somebody has been exonerated, I think it's important for all of us to emphasize that this is the case. I'm sure it will bring him a lot more goodwill from neutrals like myself who like to look at the issues objectively and take a decision what is in the real best interest of this country. So I think that it gives an edge, a very important one, to the former president. Albeit the fact that the special prosecutor pointed out that he ought to have known that engaging himself in such commercial dealings, especially when you find a relative involved, was something that ought not to have happened. And I think that this should go out to all our public officers. Over and over again, we see this repeated situation of conflict of interest. There's potential conflict of interest. You see it, you avoid it, as the Constitution enjoins us to. So he ought to be mindful of this, and all other public officers, that you ought to be recusing yourself and not engaging yourself in these kinds of activities.
But Mrs. Senano, there's still another concern the OSP raised, though, that although he didn't find any evidence of wrongdoing, the fact that the former president knew that his brother was involved in such a thing, he could have recused himself. So there's that subtle conflict of interest argument coming out here. I'm wondering what you make of that.
Which is what I just actually spoke to, that albeit the fact that the OSP pointed out that he should have known better. And I align perfectly with that thinking. Over and over again, we've seen public officers who seem oblivious of the issues of conflict of interest, of abuse of discretion, etc. It looks like the education on ethics and the ethical way of doing things, there's a lot more work we need to do for government appointees such that they can avoid such situations. So that clearly should have been a red flag for the president and his advisors and for all appointed individuals, so to speak, that you cannot continue to engage in these types of activities without the impression being left of a conflict of interest and abuse of a potential abuse of power or of corruption. So these are things they need to watch out for.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Adam Senanu, co-chair Citizens Movement Against Corruption. It's some 11 minutes past 12 o'clock. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM. Yes, so here on the Midday News on 3FM. Now, there is uncertainty regarding where Parliament will be holding its sitting slated for September 3. The Speaker of the House, Alban Bagbin, says that the current chamber requires retrofitting due to structural defect and will therefore be unable to use within the shortest possible time. This is contained in a statement issued by the Speaker of Parliament, which, among other things, addresses allegations that the Speaker adjourned proceedings due to his prioritization of international travels over parliamentary business. Let's look at aspect of that statement issued by the Speaker, and it says accusations of prioritizing international travels unfounded, adjournment consistent with parliamentary calendar. Majority Leader had requested an extension of sitting to August 2, but Parliament had already committed to sending a delegation led by the Speaker to a conference in the U.S. And let's speak to Dr. Rashid Draman, who is Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Good afternoon to you, sir, if you can hear me. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we don't seem to have Dr. Rashid Draman there. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM. Just stay with us. And you're still here on the Midday News on 3FM. Thank you for staying. Let's see whether we can have a conversation with Dr. Rashid Draman, Executive Director, Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Doc. Can you hear us? Okay, we seem to be having a challenge with our line, but we'll rectify that and bring you that conversation. Stay with us. And you're still here on the Midday News on 3FM whilst we try to connect to our resource person on the conversation on Parliament not being able to sit because of refurbishment, as it were, going on in the House. Let's bring you this. And the Ghana Gas Company Limited says that it is working assiduously to ensure its planned maintenance currently underway does not adversely affect the nation's power generation capacity. During a tour of its facility at Atwabo to assess progress of work, its asset integrity and maintenance manager Richmond Alamu indicated that the work was 60% complete. Irama Smith joins us with some details. Irama, we know Ghana Gas announced the schedule from the 1st to the 17th of August for the planned maintenance, but what exactly does it imply, really?
So we know the importance that the Ghana Gas plays in our power generation capacity, especially now that people are very, very critical about the power outages and the importance of the cost aspect and all that. So the planned maintenance that was announced for 1st August to 17th August left some people with some anxiety, especially industry. But during a tour of the facility, we have been made aware that everything is going on assiduously and they are working within the planned schedule, and they will be able to complete within that. Now, this maintenance schedule implies the shutting down of the Ghana Gas facility at Atuabo, as well as the export facilities, to enhance their operational efficiency, the safety, and also to ensure that the nation gets uninterrupted, reliable gas.
Indeed, but can you speak to the financial implications of this shutdown to the nation?
Right, so the head of corporate communications for Ghana Gas, Ernest Owusu Bempabonsu, indicates that the nation is losing nothing from this planned maintenance. According to him, everything has been set in place to ensure that it does not adversely affect the nation in any way.
Collaborated with our partners within the sector, and definitely if there's any other alternative way of dealing with it, we've already told you that we're supplying gas to Abuaze from the Sankofa oil field and is supplying for power generation. So I think that the maintenance is part of the culture of the gas processing and transportation, that somewhere along the line we communicate with our partners to make sure that any problem or any issue or situations are dealt with before. So I don't think we're going to...
There's no loss in revenue to Ghana.
Irama Smith, our Western Region correspondent, brought us those details. Let's return to our story about Parliament's inability to sit probably on September 3 because of works going on in the House. Dr. Rashid Rahman, Executive Director, Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, joins us. Hopefully this time we can hear him and have the conversation. Sir, good afternoon to you, sir. Okay. We don't seem to have Doc on the line, but you're still here on the Midday News on Sri FM, and we've brought you issues from Parliament. We've also spoken about Ghana Gas Company and its maintenance work and what officials are working towards to ensure that this does not affect power supply and indeed production in the country. Let's bring you some more. The renal unit at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital has been closed for 2 weeks with no explanation from officials. Normally bustling with patients, the entrance now stands empty with only a few staff inside. Patients have resorted to private facilities for their dialysis, which is not cost-friendly. Godwin Asidiba is following this for us. He joins us live on the line. Godwin, have you seen any officials yet? I'm wondering what they have told you so far.
Right. There are some officials here who wouldn't speak to us at the renal unit here at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, but I can tell you that this has been happening. That is according to some of the patients and also the president of the kidney patients, Afful, who has been speaking to me that it's almost 2 weeks since the renal unit has been closed down. Currently, at the entrance point where on the usual day you would find quite a number of kidney patients around with ambulances bringing in others who are unable to control themselves. You wouldn't spot anything like that around here. It is completely deserted with only few health officials spotted around. So yeah, that is the situation. But we can also recall that in June, a similar incident happened, and that was because they were struggling to get some consumables to be able to aid them in doing their dialysis. But as of now, no official has been able to mention whether or not if that is the same problem that is resulting to them closing down the facility temporarily at the moment or not. But we are hoping to speak to the PRO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Mustafa Salifu, to bring us updates on the back of that. If indeed that is the reason why they haven't been able to provide some dialysis for outpatients as far as the kidney patients are concerned. At the moment, he's actually drawing back and speaking to the media, but we'll definitely follow him and get to let him answer some of these questions. But most of them have also resorted to attending some private facilities to have their dialysis done, which is definitely cost unfriendly for them. And there's actually one shocking revelation that the president of the kidney patients made, and we can recall that the NHIA promised to provide 8 free dialysis sessions per month for kidney patients under the age of 18 and over the age of 60, which was beginning June 1, and it will be ending on December 2024. Now, patients aged 19 and 59 will also receive 2 free sessions per month, but this has not yet been met at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and that is the rather unfortunate new development that is also coming here. But we can confirm that from the Komfano Teaching Hospital and also the Winneba Hospital, those people who fall within that age gap have been receiving their free treatment. But here at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, it is yet to be implemented.
Thank you very much, Godwin Asidiba, reporting live from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where we understand the renal unit has been closed for 2 weeks. We are yet to get official explanation to that. Let's go to Parliament. Evelyn Tingma is monitoring events for us. Our work's really going on there. She joins us live on the line. Evelyn, tell us what you can see.
Right, Beatrice, we understand Parliament has been recalled, as you may be aware, to come back on September 3. And right now, you know that there's some renovation work ongoing at the parliamentary chamber. And as I speak to you, Beatrice, if you come into the chamber right now, you will see that all the microphones in the chamber where the MPs and the speaker, they all use those speakers. All the speakers have all been removed. And so as we speak now, there's nothing going on here. And of course, when the House is recalled on the September 3, the sitting probably cannot happen here. And that is the situation here, Beatrice.
All of them removed. Is it indicative that indeed there's somewhere going on, as the speaker makes us understand?
Exactly. So the speaker could be right, because all the microphones and the tablets that you do have on the desk for the various MPs, including the speaker, and those tablets, including the microphones, have all been removed. And so we understand the contract has been awarded, and so the contractor is going on with the work. And so it will not be possible for the recall, the sitting for the recall to be taking place, to be done in the main chamber. And so, of course, the parliamentary service will have to now consider where they will have to sit, and then for this particular recall, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Evelyn Tingma, reporting live from Parliament. Let's try for the last time whether we can get Dr. Rashid Rahman. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Excellent, thank you. Now, we've had the Speaker releasing a statement dismissing suggestions that he is there's a problem with Parliament sitting on the 3rd of September because, we are having a problem with this line, and we'll try and, so, Doc, what we are learning, I don't know whether you followed it, but the Speaker dismissing suggestions that we are having a problem going to sit on the 3rd of September because he is prioritizing being outside the country to taking care of parliamentary business. We've just had our reporter there telling us that she's seen some things that are indicative that indeed there's some sort of work going on. Should this statement and even what we just found from the House put this matter to rest?
Well, I guess one way or the other, Parliament would have to reconvene because a request has been made. But I have read the Speaker's statement very carefully, and I think his arguments are that, we just don't look at the letter of Article 1123 of the Constitution or Order 53, but the intentions behind those provisions. And for that matter, he has stretched the interpretation and considered all these factors, including like what your reporter has indicated, the fact that the House, the chamber is being retrofitted, and then International Conference Center, which is, I think, their usually alternative space, is also not available. And for that matter, I think a suitable place has to be found, and so on. And because of that, he is not able to honor, the kind of 7-day provision and so on. I hope, that should, put this matter to rest. In the meantime, maybe the leadership is working with him to try and maybe find a place, first of all, and then find a convenient, date for Parliament to reconvene. But beyond all this, there are much bigger issues, Beatrice, if I may. First of all, it appears as if there has been some miscommunication between the leader of the House and the Right Honorable Speaker, and maybe by extension, even the entire leadership. Because I would have thought that at all times, at least if members are not on the same page with the leadership, at least the leadership and the Speaker should be on the same page. So there is an issue of communication there. I don't know where that gap came from. But the second big issue is this speaks to how, the scheduling of, the parliamentary business is done in our country. We see, year in, year out, when Parliament is about to go on recess, that is when a lot of important business of the country is brought, and then Parliament sits through to midnight sometimes. In this particular meeting that just ended, sometimes they went beyond midnight. But there were days, ordinary days, when they couldn't find a quorum to do the business of the House. Couldn't they schedule some of these things on those days, and the members ordered, if that is the word to use, to make sure that they show up in the House and do the business of our country. If this is done, we would avoid a situation like this, And so the second issue, apart from the scheduling, is, the issue of quorum. You've been following this over and over. You know what has been happening.
So do I get the understanding from you that you think parliamentarians are being haphazard with dealing with issues of the nation?
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they can do a better job in terms of making sure they have a meeting of Parliament which stretches sometimes 3 months. If there are important businesses of our country, they should make sure that these are scheduled so that we don't have midnight closing times as we have seen, over many legislatures in the Fourth Republic. If you are making a decision around midnight, having been sitting at the place from 10 a.m., I don't know what kind of thinking capacity you have and what kind of reasonable and rational decision you can make. So if you get to midnight, it looks as if perhaps maybe we are just getting these things churned out.
Without properly scrutinizing them.
Without proper scrutiny. And no wonder we have situations which are very embarrassing sometimes for our nation and for our Parliament. So all I'm saying is, I think a better job could be done, in terms of making sure that we stagger most of these important businesses so that by the time we are getting to the end of a parliamentary meeting, at least we don't put our parliamentarians under this kind of stress. Because why is it that on other days, maybe a week or two before the end of a parliamentary meeting, that's where we see these crazy sitting hours. And then weeks and months before then, you ask them to show up in the House, they don't show up. Sometimes, the sitting is adjourned, immediately after 10 a.m. because they cannot find the people to do the business of the House. They have to look at these matters. If these are looked at very carefully, we can avoid this unfortunate kind of media banter between the Right Honorable Speaker and the leader of government business in the House. It's not healthy for our democracy. Them have to work together, and certainly we have to find a way to avoid that.
Indeed. Thank you very much. We'll have to end it here. Dr. Rashid Rahman, Executive Director, Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. And that's it for the news here on Sri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to srinews.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Andrews University professor calls for structural reforms in Ghanaian economy to make policy rates more effective.
Even if government try to control their own monetary spending, other economic activities may cause prices to move up. And these are the only challenges that I've seen.
Also, experts calls for a great tech revolution in Ghana to ensure food security.
We can't keep doing farming and agribusiness the traditional way. There's the need for enhanced technology and innovation that could help really grow what we're doing in that green sector.
Plus, Public Interest and Accountability Committee urges increased government investment in upstream petroleum sector.
You need to participate fully and also get your national oil company, take on blocks and operate the blocks, so the country can derive full benefit from the exploitation of the resources.
My name is Menu Afful. We have details of these and more lined up for you. Do stay. We'll go straight to our first story now. And an associate professor of finance at Andrews University in the United States, Kwesi Pepra, has emphasized the need for comprehensive structural reforms in the Ghanaian economy. According to him, key areas requiring reform include expenditure management and economic diversification. Professor Pepra argues that these structural reforms are crucial to enhancing the effectiveness of monetary policy tools, such as the policy rates in controlling inflation.
It requires government and the Bank of Ghana to do more, and because there are a lot of structural changes that must happen. So on that basis, we could say that, yes, the tool is working, but the rate of inflation slowing down is not as we are all expecting. Our bank projects that by the year it should be between 8% to 15%. Let's see what happens if not the current election which is coming. Even if government try to control their own monetary spending, other economic activities may cause prices to move up. And these are the only challenges that I've seen that the central bank needs to address, and the government must also be more disciplined to ensure that funding, not too much money is pushed into the system to distort or bringing in high prices.
That was Associate Professor of Finance at Andrews University in the United States, Kwesi Pepra. In more stories, Executive Director of Hub Foundation, Nelson Amo, has emphasized the crucial role of agricultural technology and innovation in achieving food security in Ghana. He noted that traditional farming methods have not been effective in creating jobs and ensuring availability of affordable food for the country, especially the poor. Amo made this call at a boot camp for 197 young entrepreneurs hosted by the Fidelity Bank Green Tech Innovation Challenge in Accra.
We can't keep doing farming and agribusiness the traditional way. There's the need for enhanced technology and innovation that could help really grow what we're doing in that green sector. And so the importance of innovators in the space of food security, in the space of green and agribusiness, cannot be overemphasized. They help make efficiency in farming, and beyond farming, there's also efficiency in post-harvest management and whatever. The opportunity is huge, and we need a lot more innovators to fill that space. Currently, there's opportunity around information for farmers, there's opportunity around commercial spraying, pest control, food security, and issues on food processing especially. So there is that room for a lot of innovators to develop innovations that would help fill the space and help contribute to food security in the country.
Executive Director of Hub Foundation, Nelson Amo there. Away from that, staff of the PBC have called on government to dismiss the current management team, citing gross incompetence. The workers who took to the streets to express their discontent claimed that the management's ineptitude has led to the downfall of the once thriving cocoa buying company. Secretary of a pressure group of the company, Dixon Agbemoji, spoke to 3 Business.
Driver Bangza, Welcome. This is the best description I have for this current management, who have succeeded in driving PBC into a ditch. In fact, the worst thing to have happened to PBC is the appointment of this crop of individuals who call themselves managers. Management who do not have the welfare of staff at heart. The management who do not know what they are about. They run the company haphazardly. They have no clue whatsoever. The company is going down. Things are going down in the company. What do you have to do? Oh, my people, if you really have the welfare of staff at heart, it's becoming so difficult. Salary is not worth coming. In fact, your PF, there's an issue with it. Just tell us that's, in order to cushion ourselves, your tier 3 is with a fund manager. So let me quickly approve of this for you. Go for it so you can use it to cushion yourself. But you are rather denying us from taking this money.
You heard the voice of Dixon Agbemoji, who is the secretary of PBC Pressure Group. In more news, the technical manager at the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, Mark Ajimang, wants government to invest more money in the exploration and production of the upstream petroleum sector. He noted the surest way for Ghana to maximize revenue from its oil and gas resources is through this. Ghana's crude oil production has been declining for 4 consecutive years, with a significant drop from 71.44 million barrels in 2019 to 48.25 million barrels in 2023.
You need to participate fully and also get your national oil company. Take on blocks and operate the blocks, so the country can derive full benefit from the exploitation of the resources. But as long as you bring in partners, the only surest way you can get appreciable rents is through participation. And participation is not just participation. When you intend participating, you will also have to respond to the appropriate cash costs. So now the issue is that the government, in broader scheme of things, be willing to tax away money to responding to cash costs in the petroleum upstream industry, or use that money for other purposes. But I will go for the state making an intentional decision to fully participate, whether through its NOC or increasing its equity stake in the various agreements. That is what I will go for.
You heard the voice of the technical manager at the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, Mark Ajimang. Before we go, Tullow Oil has reported a solid financial performance for the first half of 2024, marked by increased profitability and reduced debt. Despite a slight decline in revenue compared to the same period last year, the company managed to boost its gross profit and profit after tax significantly. The following 3 Business News Desk report has more. Tullow Oil reported a slight decrease in revenue to $759 million, down from $777 million in the same period last year. However, gross profits rose significantly to $460 million, and profits after tax jumped to $196 million, up from $70 million. Tullow's focus on cost reduction is evident in its capital expenditure, which dropped to $157 million from $187 million in 2023. Decommissioning spending also saw a significant decline. However, the company's free cash flow remained negative due to tax payments and front-loaded capital expenditure. Despite the challenges, Tullow has made progress in reducing its debt, bringing it down to $1.7 billion from $1.9 billion a year earlier. The company remains optimistic about its financial outlook, anticipating a significant uplift in free cash flow in the second half of the year. While production has been affected by underperformance in a Jubilee well, Tullow expects to maintain its full-year production guidance within the 62,000 to 68,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day range. Well, that was a 3 Business News Desk report ending Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website on www.3news.com. My name is Minu Afful. Do stay tuned. Urban Blend is up next.